at your home. I'm very honored to be today with you. I'm a district forester at Slovenian Forest Service on the local unit in Celje. The first part, it will be about Slovenian Forest and Slovenian Forest Service. And to tell you about Slovenian foresters, we have a motto. We caring for forest to benefit nature and people. I think this is very important today, in those times, nature and people. Now we know that our freedom is a little bit limited. So we Slovenians, we are very lucky because here we are stationed in Europe. You see, we are a very small country, but with the highest share of forests in Europe. In fact, we are the third country in Europe by the density of forest. For example, Slovenia is or let's say Andalusia is 3 times bigger than Slovenia. So you can imagine how small country it is. From east to west is about 280, 300 kilometers. Slovenia has a very diverse landscape. We have several regions: Alpine region, Dinaric region, which goes through the Balkans, Pannonic regions, which goes through the Hungarian lowlands, and Mediterranean region. Alpine region goes towards France as Julian Alps. We have, in 2015, there was a data that forest area of Slovenia is, the forest covers Slovenia in 58% of its surface. That means more than 1 million hectares. In Slovenia, we have 2 million inhabitants. That means that each habitant, one people, let's say, own a forest of a football pitch. So a half a hectare of forest per inhabitant in Slovenia. Celje is here. I hope you see this flat land over here. About 150 years ago, there was only 36% of the forest. Nowadays, we stopped, and I think that is the highest data for here we will stop at the 58, 55 maybe % of coverage in Slovenia. The composition of forest is very mixed. Here you see in the north of Slovenia, there's a lot of conifers, and especially in alpine area. Here in Dinaric area, but elsewhere there's more broadleaves. Here is the share of beech, which is the mother of forests, Fagus sylvatica. We called her a mother of Slovenian forest, a beech. Then we have spruce, and in the same percentage rate, fir, oak. As you see, there are 3 species with a high value. I don't know if you heard about it, but every February we have an auction in Slovenia of a high class timber, and the price for Acer pseudoplatanus for ash, it was 15,000 euros per cubic meter. That was the highest price of the one log in that auction in beginning of February this year. And owners, or let's say Slovenian foresters, try to help owners to recognize that high value timber, and we help them to sell them or sell it on the auction every year. We have also quite high growing stock. In 2015, it was around 300 cubic meters per hectare. You see that coniferous is little bit less than half. The other are broadleaves. About 160 cubic meters per hectare are broadleaves. The increment in our Slovenian forest is about 7 cubic meters overall. 3 cubic meters for coniferous and deciduous or broadleaves with 4 cubic meters per hectare a year. Some basic data which I already mentioned. Just to summarize it, more than 1 million hectares, the growing stock 350 million cubic meters, increment of year, and we also in Slovenia Forest Service, we with our management plans, we plan how much wood can owner cut in 10 years. I also mentioned before that we have about half a hectare per inhabitant, and of course 4 cubic meters per year. This is the ownership of Slovenian forest. It's very interesting. Why? In Slovenia, we, as I said, we are about 2 million people, and the owner is every 4th Slovenian. So about 500,000 people are owners of the forest, and it's very, very small ownership. About 70% of ownership is private, and about 30% is state forest. I will show you now. The forest owners, about 500,000 forest owners, and 25% are state and local communities, also some other entities, and more than 70% of private forests. These are the cutting and silviculturing works. In 2015, there was a little bit more than 6 million cut in 2015. And for when we see the silviculturing works, you see it's decreasing because of the, let's say, ownership. They are not interested in doing in the forest because small owners are not capable of working and doing in their own forest. Well, main actors in Slovenia forestry is Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Food. They established Slovenia Forest Service back in 1993. I won't count all the institutes, but as you see, there is a lot of institutions which are dealing with 1 million hectares. Well, as English said, too many cooks will spoil the soup, if you understand the sentence. Slovenia Forest Service is the leading management institution, and Slovenia Forestry Institute as the research for researching. Also, we have a faculty for forestry, a high school of forestry, and so on. Some other chambers and associations for owners, and so on. Slovenia Forest Service has about nowadays about 700 employed foresters, which are all university educated. We are mainly financing from the state budget. That means in Slovenia we have about 850,000 taxpayers. So those taxpayers financing, for example, also among other institutions, public institutions, also Slovenia Forest Service. That's why it is very important that forests in Slovenia are open for the public by law. Organization of the Slovenia Forest Service is very centralized. We have 14 headquarters of regions. Those you see red dots. The main blue dot is central unit in Ljubljana, and everything goes from Ljubljana to regional units. And my regional unit is here 09. This is a good number. And of course, out from those regional headquarters, there are local units. And as you see, those green dots are local units. And in that local units, we have army of foresters. And one of the foresters, we call them district foresters. As I am, we manage about 300 hectares of forests. So in one local headquarter, there is about 4 to 5 district foresters, which manage about 2,080 to 3,000 hectares of forest. What is the main field work of Slovenia Forest Service? as I said, we are public forestry service. And we are gathering information about forests, about their condition. We developed forest in one area. We also communicate with forest owners. We do some management plans, as I show you later on. And now we also sign now from very beginning. We signed trees for felling, for timbering. We also manage wildlife. That means game. We have also supervising some nature on the field of nature conservation, and we do management plans for forests and hunting. We also collaborate with other institutions, doing some EU projects that help us develop our knowledge and to have a broader perspective in modern forestry. Well, forest management planning is the main work at Slovenia Forest Service. The highest program is a national forest program, and then we go down to the regional unit, to the local unit, and on the bottom is silvicultural plan. And silvicultural plan, this is the main forest management plan. In that plan, we manage forest stands, from young forest stands to the old forest. And here is the main work by the forest district foresters. Here are some indicators in 2015. That means that in 2015 there was about 23 plans for forest management units, which are large, about 25,000 hectares. And yes, something like that. And every district forester is doing a silviculturing plan. Silviculturing plan is the plan for the forest, which is large, about 20 hectares. And we prescribe what kind of work it should be done in that forest, and it doesn't matter who is the owner. We don't care about that if the owner is a state or some private owner. We care about, as I said at the beginning, about forests to benefit nature and people. I already spoke about some silviculture and forest protection. Silviculture is very, very important. In the young forest, it is possible to do some things for the future. It's like with kids, right? We can raise them when they are young. We can bend them when they are young, and just like with forests, it's easily to bend a young plant, and after that we get some good, healthy forest stand. Maybe to go back a little bit, this is important, I think, to emphasize. Every forest owner, especially private owner, has the possibility to get some subsidies for doing silviculturing work in his own forest. So, for example, if he does some silviculturing work, some tending of young forest, he can get a subsidy from the state in about 30 to 50% of the cost of that work. That means for about, if they plant a hectare of trees, that is about 2,000 young trees, they can get about I think 400 to 500 euros of subsidies. Also, they get young trees, so material, and they are also getting some money for the work. In our Slovenian Forestry Service, we also are dealing with forest technology. We are not constructing, but we are doing some planning where the skidding trails is going to be, where the forest roads are going to be. We are developing a net of forest, let's say, roads and infrastructure for skidding and driving the forest, the logs out of the forest. The construction does the forest owner by himself. We supervise the building, the constructing of that, let's say, infrastructure. We also try to educate forest owners. We have some courses for practical demonstrations, because it's very, very important that our forest owners, which are about 500,000, have the right education. Those who are working, of course, they are not working all. But those who are working in the forest, we are trying to educate them for practical doing, and of course, safety is first. Safe work in the forest. That was one research about that. If there is a one, how do I say that? When somebody gets injured, the state cost is about 500,000 per year. So this is very important in terms of practical demonstrations and educations. We also issue some publications for the forest owners and for the other public. We are appearing in media. In last week in May, there is a Slovenian Forest Week, so we appear very much in media. That will be in 14 days, right? Yes. And of course, education is very, very important, especially of the young. Here we have in Celje are very strong about that. Let's say work in Slovenia Forest Service, because we think that educating young people about importance of forest is crucial. Why? Because they are our future leaders, and they will be opinion makers, and at the end also the decision makers. So not only forest pedagogy, but also we educate, and we like to show the importance of forest also to some other participants in general public.
Bostjan, here a question of the people. Gabriel asked, how is the transition between the socialist system to the private system in Slovenia? Yes.
Very good question. In the beginning of 90s, in 1995, began that transition, and in that time, in 80s, there was a lot of forest, if not all, almost under the state surveillance, let's say, and the state turned from 1995 till nowadays. They gave back to the forest owners, and some people got a lot of forests of several thousand hectares. About 6,000 hectares got some one of the forest owner, and of course you can imagine how much forests is that, and they have no clue about where they are, what to do with them, and Slovenian Forest Service helped them in relation to manage with the forest, because we are public service. So a lot of people, quite a lot, yes, people got forest back. Some in a larger scale, some in smaller. And in fact, those people, they don't know what to do. A lot of them, they don't know what to do with them. They own the forest, but they are not managed with them. So let's say the process of timbering, silviculturing is very bad. But in terms of the transition, there was no problem. They got back if they proved that they were owners in socialism, in socialistic, communistic times of that forest, and they got back those parcels. The urban forest of Celje as an open-air classroom. This is a very interesting field of my work, which I love and I like very much. The forests around Celje is that yellow, a significant color on your screen are forests with special purposes in Celje. On the northern side of the city are more private owned, but here on the southern part of Celje is a city forest, an urban forest of municipality of Celje, and it is the largest green space, public green space in Celje. The city of Celje has systematically developing the forest in its vicinity. They're especially important in terms of the city ecological and social functions. We know that we have three types of functions: productive, social, and ecological. And the social functions are on the first place here around the Celje city. The second are ecological, and productive functions of forest are on the side in that ring. And if you see on the northern part, there's like lungs of the human, left and right, the lungs of the human. So we call our forest the lungs of Celje. We breathe, and they are our lungs. So these are the forests with special purpose. The Slovenian Forest Service local unit of Celje has been methodically dealing with the pedagogical task of educating children and youth since 2003. Those triangles are kindergarten in that Slovenian city, Celje. It has 17 kindergartens, 10 primary schools, which are red dots, and 8 high schools, which are those squares in the city center almost. And about 11,000 youth or children in total are every day in educating program daily is 11,000 pupils in Celje. Each of these schools is very close to the urban forest of Celje or in the immediate vicinity of the surrounding forest. For example, you see here, I will show you where I live. I live here where that triangle is. And nearby is a primary school. So we have, let's say, 10-15 minutes, our forest is practically on our doorstep. We are working with all primary schools, more than a half kindergartens, and 2 high schools. The urban forest of Celje Anski. This is the 1 hectare large surface, which is owned by municipality of Celje. And as I said, again, this is the largest public green
Excuse
space.
me, Bostjan.
Yes.
How are the how many hectares?
100.
100. 100.
100.
Okay.
A little bit more than 100.
Yes, more or less. More
or less.
Okay.
Yes. 100 hectares of forest.
Of public forest, yes.
In that forest is about 14 kilometers of walking paths, mainly for people who walk, who jog, and we don't want to have the clash of interests with bicycles, of bikers. The bikers has their playground, let's say, about 40 minutes away from the that main public green space. Celia's nearest forest lies on the southern edge above the city park. Here is the city park. Here is one bridge. Here is the bridge, and also here is the bridge where people can access urban forest. The urban forest of Celia has now become the city's largest public green space with more than 14 kilometers of paths, educational and recreational facilities. It is intended for citizens' recreation, leisure, and experience forest. So that is the forest, which is also legislated by the municipality. The venues for forest pedagogy activities in that forest are, due to its proximity to the city, the urban forest of Celia offers an excellent opportunity for educating, training, and informing citizens about the significance, functioning, and conservation of natural ecosystem. The activities based on the principles of forest pedagogy are used to provide knowledge about the importance of forest ecosystem, and forestry as an economic entity. In 2015, Slovenia Forest Service, local unit of Celje, and municipality of Celje, along with other project partners from Croatia, carried out a project called Green for Grey, Forest for Cities. The project has enabled the urban forest of Celje with its treehouse and children's forest playground to become the center of nature urban forest experience. So here we see that in the middle of that forest is the center, and we stationed that forest treehouse as a focus of that urban city. I have to mention that we have three main accesses to the forest, which are very, very close to the city center. And the main educational path is that one, where we go with kids and discover forest. And of course, if we have some larger demands of the groups, we um, we walk with them on larger and longest path, and of course uh, give them the opportunity to get along and get to know more about forests. Through Forest Mandala from Forest Laboratory, the urban forest has become an open-air classroom, an added value for children and youth learning about forest. The treehouse has four main purposes. I will show you now the venues. Forest Mandala, we called it because there is a flat surface for about 10 Rs. That's about 0.10 hectares, where we can work with group of children, for about 25 children in that space. It's very safe, it's flat, they can discover it, so and it's very near to the schools. Then we have Forest Laboratory, which is, if I can show you, Forest Mandala, there is an entrance, Forest Mandala and Forest Laboratory. About 10-15 minutes by walking from the Forest Mandala. In that Forest Laboratory, we have a pond of water and some didactical let's say, facilities for children to present them soil in the forest, dead biomass. We are talking about landscape. We are talking about also living organisms in the forest and in the water, and the importance of the forest ecosystem. And the highlight of the urban forest of Celje is treehouse, which has four main purposes. One, of course, first is educational purpose, social, cultural, and also we use it for business meetings. The forest playground is very significant and one of the teasers how to get children into nature, into the forest. Forest playground is interesting how it became. My wife is a landscape designer, and she designed that. She was in process of designing, and she designed that forest playground. And it was interesting what she asked us when we came out with the idea of the forest playground, the playground in the forest. And she asked, okay, guys, why do you need playground in the forest if the forest can be a playground? That was really, really interesting. She had a point in that time. Yeah, of course, we said, but you know, there was no trees to hang on, to climb on, and she came out with the idea with forest playground, and its fil rouge is motion and climbing. You may find that a bit contradictory, because we are in the forest, and the forest can be a playground by itself. Sometimes, of course, can be a teaser too. Well, when you will see it and the field trip, you will know why. Uh, in that very moment, when we will have time to travel, I'm inviting you to Celje to see Celje, its forest, and urban forest. What is our vision, our goal? In the last 7 years, more than 1,000 children per year have visited the urban forest of Celje. Forest playground, fil rouge is motion and climbing. You may find that a bit contradictory, but anyway. Sometimes when children are nagging that they don't want to go, that it's hard, the forest playground and the treehouse are the reward for their effort. Our goal and vision is that every kid goes to the urban forest along with forester at least once in the time of educational period. Educational and experiential activities based on the principles of forest pedagogy in the urban forest of Celje influence children's lives outside school and also within their family life, since they can explore the forest together with their parents. And I think it's very important because those youngsters, those kids, those tiny creatures that sometimes can't walk because they don't like to, these kids will be our presidents, our prime ministers. Those kids will be our decision makers. So in Celje, we were determined that we will do our forest pedagogy more and more qualitative because we are aware of that. And that's why among our daily work with forest owners, it's very important to work with kids with forest pedagogy. So I thank you for listening to me. I hope that I introduced a little bit more about my work, about my companies, the Woodland Forest Service, and of course also the forests around Celje, especially now where the people need air and space. Urban forests are very essential, very important for us, for our health, for our body and mind. Thank you for listening to me. And of course, I will be here as long as you want to discuss, ask, and of course to chat about forest, forestry, urban forestry, forest pedagogy, about life. Once again, thank you very much for your attention, and thank you, Kike, for inviting and having me at your class.
Thank you very much, Bostjan, for your very interesting speech about the forests of Slovenia and the forest education in the municipal, in the urban forest of Celje. Maybe somebody want to make some question. If no, I two questions for you, Bostjan.
Please.
Well, the first question: how many times pass the children of the young in these activities? Is an activity for 1 day, half a day, or for a week, or I don't know?
It is a half a day. That means that they come to the meeting point at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and we have a program for kids that it lasts 3.5 hours. About around 1 o'clock, they finished. That means 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And we, during that period, we are doing some forest pedagogy activities, and these forest pedagogy activities are based on games. For example, they are trying to find some animal tracks. And there is one anecdote about it. One pupil came, I gave them kind of a small flags, about 30 centimeters long sticks with a flag on it, and he found a poop. He found a stinky poop and put it on the stick. He said, "Hey, I found a poop. Can you tell me what about that poop is, which is from?" It was a dog. It was really interesting. But that was the forest pedagogy game. Find the track of the animal, or whatever, maybe a net, and some kids found some net of the spiders, some saliva of the snails. They found a lot of different things. Also, the caterpillar bites the leaves. It was really interesting what they see. So yeah, that activities are about 3 or 3.5 hours long, and that's pretty much about it. And I have to mention also that this is our main public are five graders. That means kids who are 12 years old. These are the best.
Thank you, Bostjan. Menchu Cabanes have a question for you. Menchu asked you if there are another similar forest programs in another cities in Slovenia, or it's a singular project?
No, it's not a singular project, but there are also some organizations who are doing the same in Slovenia, who are doing some forest pedagogy also. They're providing that programs. For example, in Ljubljana, which is the largest city in Slovenia, there is also the one institution who is during the vacations in the summertime, they have programs for children, and they are doing also forest pedagogy every day for 14 days. Also, kindergartens during vacations have, but during the school from September to July to 23rd of June, the main forest pedagogy is done by Slovenia Forest Service.
Bostjan, Celia asked you if you in this program have many years, not it's made for many years.
Yes.
Have you have you appreciate and change in the mentality of the people before and after this program, or is difficult to change the mentality of the people in facing the forest?
It's interesting. That is good question. In fact, because nowadays people of parents of the kids know about that program. They know about us foresters, and the foresters in Celje are recognizable, and they are gave respect to that what we are doing, because kids, like when the kids are coming from our course, they want to go with their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the mind changer, let's say.
Yeah.
Because kids are kind of they kind of a start up, and they are trying to push their parents to go with them to the forest, and more families are going together in urban forest and enjoy forest along with kids playing in the forest. It doesn't matter if this is a forest pedagogy or not. They're together and they're enjoying forest. And this is how the thinking of the people was changed. It is
a little things
yes
between the kids and their parents. Yes.
Yes, and that's and beside that, that infrastructure that is now with tree house, with sign, with information post signs, and about and the forest playground. These are now even more, let's say, visited than before.
Bostjan,
yeah.
Do you want I played the 2 minutes video about the tree house?
Yes,
yes. Well, Bostjan?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yes, okay, very nice and very interesting the tree house and, with different white points. Bostjan, for finally, I made a last question for. I have a last question for you. This is a surprise question.
Okay.
A surprise.
Okay, surprise question.
I can know which is your favorite tree in the Celje forest, or your favorite place, but in principle, your favorite tree. Yes.
Okay, my favorite tree is chestnut.
The chestnut.
Yeah. Castanea sativa.
Yes. Here
Yeah,
in Huelva, in the mountain of the north of Huelva, they are forests of the chestnut. Yes.
Yes. This is my favorite tree. It's very. Well, it gives you food. It gives you a good liquor. Yeah.
Liquor, the drink, the forestry drink.
Also. But it is very quality wood.
Yes.
And durability of the wood is very high. And the honey of the chestnut is very good. And I respect that tree species, really. Yeah.
The chestnut is your tree.
Yes, and we have a lot of chestnut in the urban forest in Celia, really.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to just tell you that one gentleman asked about how do I take or do the people take positively cutting the trees in Slovenia. Well, I have to tell you that urban forests are the shopping window for the forestry.
Yes.
So maybe just to answer the gentleman who was asking about cutting trees. Well,
yes.
yeah, we try to explain people when we are cutting trees here in urban forest. We make PR about that because it's important that they know why we are doing that. They don't know why. So if it's about the bark beetle or some regular cutting because of the safety and so on, people wants to know. And because they are our taxpayers, I think we are obligated to tell them, yeah, we are doing because of that and some other things, and we are doing for you also in the public urban forest. In the private forest, they are interested in cutting because of the money, but
not in public forest. But yes, here is the same. It's difficult to explain the basis of the silviculture, but this is forest education too, no?
Yes, this is
our role.
Exactly. Yes.
So, Bostjan, yes. A colleague Santos Gabriel asked if for the pest of the chestnut. They are pest in your trees of, because here they are like a little bit.
Yes, they are endangered. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They are endangered by some wasp, by some kind of a flea, and the wasp is sucking out.
Yes.
That
maybe it's similar, because here we have this problem with the.
It's the same. It's the same problem.
Yes. Well,
it's the same problem.
Bostjan, we have a very good idea about the Slovenian forest, about the Celia forest. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bostjan.
If some other times, what kind of idea, I'm pretty enthusiastic about that. Thank you very much for your applause.
I have a lot of.
And I'm applauding to you too, because you are almost 1 hour and a half with me. And, so thank you very much again.
Thank you. See you soon, Bostjan.
See you soon. Please stay healthy.
Yes. Now is the most important.
Yes, that is the most important, that we extinct that disease out of our lives to enjoy our lives further.
Yes.
That we were in with the remembering how it was.
Yes.
Just to calibrate our minds about about that, and yeah.
We
Stay
hope
well.
to go out as soon
Yes.
possible. Yes.
Yeah. Stay well, be healthy, and love each other, and take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.